Okay, this is called an over-under. This is for the conveyor for the car wash. It powers the chain and rollers. As you can see, it's a 100-foot tunnel. Goes all the way back there. Now the issue with the only issue is with the motor. The gearbox is fine. The motor and gearbox together is about $1,900. The motor is about $800. So you can see the lines, the two hydraulic, the return and the feed line go underneath and go up into this unit. The reason there's two motors is because one's a backup. I'll show you the speed control. This is called the speed control. Turning it up, turning it back, you can see the feed and the return line. What that does is that it just adjusts the amount of PSI, the pressure, the amount of oil being fed into the lines. You can see the lines going out, underneath, and right back to where we were looking before. So the problem we're going to have today is the motor, not the gearbox, but take a look at the bolts. It's going to be very difficult. They're all rounded, they're stripped at the ends. They've been there for quite some time. I obviously soaked them in WD-40, so I'm hoping that I can get that motor separated from the gearbox so I do not have to replace the whole thing. That's where I'm going to be at today. So the question is, how do we get those bolts off? You can't put a socket, you can't put a wrench, vice grip, it's not going to work. So there's going to be two options. First option I'm going to try is right here, and I'm going to try to chisel the end of the bolts off, the head of the bolt. I'm going to try to chisel it off. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go the second route, which is going to be cutting the ends off, popping the motor off. I'm going to be left with the studs, and then I'll work on the studs. Either drill the center of the stud, use an extractor, or put a vice grip on the studs now that the motor is out of the way and back them out that way. So we're going to see, we'll take some pictures as we go along and we'll go from there, see how it comes out. Alright, so I tried using the gun. A little dent wasn't where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to switch to the grinder with a cutting disc. Okay, and we're going to see where it goes from there. Have better luck. A little more dangerous, but we'll see. This is where we're at right now. We got 1, 2, and on the bottom 3 and 4, which are cut off. You may ask yourself, why is the motor not coming down? And that's because it's probably so rusted on. I'm going to take a rubber mallet, I'm going to hit from here. Just be careful. You know, you don't want to damage this, the gearbox. Alright, so we use the cutting wheel on the grinder, and we were successful. You didn't have to be too careful against here because this is part of the motor right here. Okay? So now we're going to try to hit this. Probably spray some WD or put some oil in there. Hope it drips down, and we'll see, and we'll go from there. Update you guys in a minute. Watch the whip. Hit. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's easy. It's nice. Alright, so we got the motor off. This gear has to go onto the new one. Most likely there's a key stock or a keyway over here. Came off pretty easy. Now we have to work on the studs. We got 4. I'm going to spray these if we have to heat them up. I don't want to heat them up. If we do, that's a last resort. Here are some of the options, either the vice grip or the pipe wrench. The last resort, like we said, is going to heat these up, drill here, and use an extractor. So we're going to see how the easy methods go first. Hopefully we get lucky. Alright, this is where we're at. We're going to try the vice grip. You're going to want to clip it on one of the studs, and you're going to want to take a hammer and knock it here, free it loose. See how that goes. Obviously, when you do a job like this, you're going to want a new gasket. You don't want to buy a new motor and use the existing gasket, especially if you need to use heat in this area. It's going to melt the gasket. Get new bolts, obviously, because we're cutting them. Stainless steel. So remember, hammer here, just a couple knocks, see if it moves. You could use heat, and we'll see. We got the other 3 out. That's what they look like. Got the last one. Last one's always going to be the most difficult, just how it works. Okay. That's it. Okay, I just wanted to mention one of the tricks I come up with is a razor blade. Don't drop it like I did. Okay, and just shave the old gasket off. Okay, you're gonna want to make your way around until it's nice and clean. Then you could take like a microfiber or a rag or some emery cloth and just finish cleaning it up. Okay, and then we'll go and we'll see the steps from there. You're gonna want to obviously fill it with the oil. We'll go over the steps, what kind of oil to use, the procedure, and that's it. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, we got it all cleaned up. That's what it looks like. Before, super important, before you start screwing these bolts in, put some never sees. Even though they're stainless, just put some never sees. You never know when you're going to have to take it off, how many years. You don't want it to have a problem. It's just a simple thing to do to save yourself some time in the long run. Alright, next step we're going to do, we're going to pop this off, this gear, put it on the new one, on the new shaft. It actually comes right off. See? Came off very easy. You don't need to replace this, just check the gears. There's no marks, there's no marring, no chips. So it's like probably about $120 that we could save right here by using the old one. Alright, we'll take you step by step. We're almost done. Coming along. Alright, I just wanted to show you a little trick. Put the gear onto the shaft. Put one bolt in here and one bolt in the bottom. That way you could hold the gasket in place rather than struggling over here and trying to do that. So now I could use two hands, hold the motor up. It's very heavy, and I'm not going to worry about struggling with the gasket falling out. It's going to be kept in the right place, and then I could just quickly hand tighten one and two, and then it'll be in place. Then I could go insert the other two bolts and go from there. Thanks. Okay, we're back. We have the motor hooked up to the gearbox. One thing I wanted to mention is when you're tightening these bolts, you always want to do it in a star, a crisscross pattern. That allows you when you're putting the, you have the gasket in between when you're putting the motor to the gearbox, or anything rather, a rim and tire to the car, a valve cover on a car. Whenever you have multiple bolts, you want to allow it to get tightened evenly, not be lopsided. So if I tighten this all the way, it would be a little lopsided. So what you want to do is start by hand tightening. If you're going to start with the top left, hand tighten this, snug it up, and then go to the bottom right. Okay, if you're going to start with the top right, snug this up and then go to the bottom left. Okay, that allows you to get a nice flat even surface to work with. Alright, so we're making some progress. We're almost done. We're going to get the adapters hooked up, put some gear oil in, and hook up the lines. I have one marked. You can see it down there. That's so I don't mix up the return line to the feed line. Alright, I just wanted to go over a quick trick to fill the oil. This was very, very tight enough that it wouldn't work by hand. So something you could do is you can get a vice grip, lock it on real tight, and give yourself some more leverage. Start slow. If you feel it's stripping, stop. But I got it. That's it. Okay, so the proper way to fill the gearbox with the oil. Show you the oil I'm using. Okay. Right now the drain screw is literally on the last thread. I'm going to start adding the oil. Once it starts pouring out of here, I'm going to tighten it a little bit. I'm going to give it about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes to work its way through the gears. I'm going to come back, I'm going to open it up. If oil's not draining out, I'll add a little more. Once it starts coming out, I'll close it and I'm done. So it's going to be about halfway through. People sometimes think fill it all the way up to the top. No, you never want to do it with things like this. So I'm going to start adding the oil. We'll come back and we'll see. Alright, it's a little noisy. I'm running it right now. You can see the main control unit. No leaks. That's what I'm testing for. I'm actually going to run it for about 2 minutes and then I'm going to pop out that drain plug and see if the oil is where it should be. I'm trying to work the oil through the gears right now, and I'm going to shut it down soon, check the oil, and then we're done. Job well done. Alright, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.